Here for our little weekly NFL chat, guys. We're going to talk about what's going on in the NFL this past week. Not any crazy news, but there's been some rumblings about what's going on. It looks more and more like Cam Ward's going to go number one, right, guys? So the Raiders are releasing cornerback Jack Jones. That news just broke, and they're going to save $3.4 million on the cap. Guys, we're just about 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. It's the 6th right now. The draft's on the 24th, 18 days away. I'm really excited, man. I am super excited for the draft. The Dolphins, offensive lineman Armstead, he announced his retirement, right? So, man, the Miami Dolphins need offensive line help desperately, guys. Super, super desperately, man. They need all the offensive line help they can get. If we take a look at their offensive line, what they're working with going into the season, it's not looking good, NFL fans. Man, this Miami Dolphins offensive line trying to protect Tua, not good. Patrick Paul, the rookie from last year out of Houston, he's penciled in to start at left tackle. Then they got Eichenberg, Jackson on the other side at right tackle. A lot of number one picks. But Austin Jackson's been pretty much a bust. First round pick out of USC. Was pretty decent in 2023, but every other year, 20, 21, 22, 24, pretty much a big bust, guys. Welcome to the live stream, guys. We're going to talk some NFL football today. Getting ready for the draft 2 weeks away. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jay, host of the Jay All Day NFL Show. And we're here, guys, breaking down the NFL. Any questions you might have, make sure you leave them in the comments down below. What's up, Butthole9876? That's a solid username, bro. Solid name. I like it. So, yeah, man, we're just going to chat up some NFL today, guys. Christina Amrod, welcome to the chat. Go Birds! Yeah, man. Chargers add QB Trey Lance on a one-year deal. Interesting move they made there, bringing in Trey Lance. Quarterback Trey Lance signs a one-year deal worth up to $6.2 million on Friday. Lance and Tyler Heineke are now the backups behind Justin Herbert there in Los Angeles, guys. So they got another backup. Trey Lance hasn't really had too many opportunities, but when he's gotten them, he hasn't been great. 3rd pick overall. What a bust Trey Lance has been, man. Woof. When you draft the guy number 3 overall, man, in the 2021 draft, taking Trey Lance, oof, man, that's rough. That's rough, guys. LeBron! What's going on, guys? Chatting up some NBA. What's going on with LeBron? Dude, my Sixers are an absolute dumpster fire, man. Man, the Lakers blew out Oklahoma City, 126-99. Woo, baby, absolutely blew their brakes off, man. Yeah, LeBron James, man, blew it up tonight. 129 points for the Lakers, guys. Woo! Yo, guys, I only need 12 more subscribers to get to 14,900, so make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. We're going to do a little mock draft with you guys live. We're going to go over all these teams, go pick by pick, what I think the NFL is going to do. Not what I would do, but what I think the NFL is going to do. We're going to do, oh, thanks, Average Asian Gamer. I appreciate you, man. Yo, Butthole, how about you stop being super racist, bro? How about you do that? But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna do a live NFL mock draft. I want to talk about the 2021 draft. Trey Lance goes 3 overall. He got picked before Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Pat Surtain, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The 49ers. Najee Harris too. Landon Dickerson. Oof. Man. 2021 draft wasn't the best draft, though, for sure. Wasn't the best draft, for sure. But all right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to the JL Day Sports Show. Let's crack a lack on this mock draft. I'm going to go through all 32 picks for you guys on this live stream. Let me know, as I get to your favorite team, who you think they should pick. You know? And we're going to kick it off with the Titans. Titans, you're on the clock. We're at 14,890 subscribers, guys. 10 more to go to 14,900. I appreciate you guys tuning in to the program. All right, for me, the Titans, I think, are going to go Cam Ward. Cam Ward had a really, really good last year in college, 92 overall grade. Very, very impressive, man. No pressure grade, over 94. He threw for 4,300 yards, 39 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. He was pretty remarkable for Miami this year, man. He only had he only had 2 games under a 67 grade. That's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. I don't think he's the best player on the draft. He's not number 1 on my big board. I do value quarterbacks, but in my opinion, not the best. If you could do me a favor, guys, hit that like button. It really helps get this live stream out into the internet land. So, yeah, I'm going to go Cam Ward. Number 1 to the Titans. Yeah, Cam Ward, number 1 to the Titans. Yeah, Retro, you're always a hater, bro. Always a hater. And I'm not a delusional Eagles fan. Do you watch my channel at all? Clearly you don't. All right, now, Browns, you're on the clock at number 2 overall. You know, I don't think they go Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders takes a little bit of a tumble here, man. Taking a little bit of a tumble here. For me, at the Browns, it's between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Do you want to make the defense a calling card? You have Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter on the D-line. That would be a crazy, crazy D-line to handle, right? But Travis Hunter is he's a unicorn, man. Straight up unicorn. The dude's unbelievable. He can do everything really, really well. He's got good speed. You know, he plays a lot bigger than he is. 6'1", 185. I do want to see him put on a little bit of size on his frame, Travis Hunter. But I think the Browns are going to go Travis Hunter. They talk about him being a wide receiver in this offense. They did bring in Kenny Pickett, right? Who I'm not a huge fan of. But I do think later in the draft that the Browns will have an opportunity to either trade up later in the draft because I don't know. I don't see the Giants taking him. I think the Browns are going to go Travis Hunter, guys. So Cam Ward goes 1, Travis Hunter goes 2. Now, Giants. Any Giants fans out there? You're on the board at number 3 overall. Abdul Carter's on the board. Mason Graham's on the board. Ashton Genty. Armand Membu is on the board as well. He could make some sense for the Giants, right? So, if the Giants have Andrew Thomas on the left side, right? And then, if you draft Armand Membu on the right side, you have 2 excellent tackles, man. Nice. We're going to get to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, man. We're going to get there, 412 vibe. Make sure you hang out. Giants, where do you think we go? I'm really leaning towards Armand Membu. I really am. I think he could be a great addition to this offensive line. But it's hard to pass up on Abdul Carter, right? If you take a look at the Giants' defense, you know, they got Dexter Lawrence. They got Brian Burns. So, I mean, do they really need Abdul Carter to be a successful defensive front? I don't think so. You know what I mean? They would make them excellent. You know, they do have Kayvon Thibodeau, too. the number 1 overall pick, number 5 overall pick in round 1 back in 2022. So if you bring in Abdul Carter, you're giving up on Thibodeau. So I don't think they're going to do that. So for me, Giants fans, I'm going Armand Membou. Goes number 3 to the Giants. I love him at number 3 because Andrew Thomas, and then you got Armand Membou on the right side. Then you can kick Jermaine Elimanour inside to guard. And you just make that offensive line so much better because Runyon and Van Rotten, the guards, not great. Not great. You know it, James. You know it, bro. Thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, so that's why I like the Armand Membou to the Giants. It makes a lot of sense. And if the Giants don't take a quarterback this year, because they did sign Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, right? So when you bring in 2 guys like that, I don't think they love the quarterback class. So I'm going to go Armand Membou, number 3. Yeah, Membou's really, really good. He's the best. I think he's the best tackle in the draft, right tackle or left tackle. I think he's the best overall tackle in this draft class. And the Giants get a bookend right tackle, Delane Johnson, for the Giants. Now, Patriots fans, you're on the board number 4. Abdul Carter, Tet McMillan, Mason Graham, Ashton Jeanty, Will Campbell, still all on the board for the Patriots, right? I just can't see a world where they pass up on Abdul Carter, right? If you take a look at New England, they brought in Milton Williams. He's going to play on the inner part of that defensive line, right? They're in a base 3-4, right? Williams is going to play probably the right end position, right? And then you bring in Abdul Carter, and man, they do have Keon White on the edge, and they have Landry on the other side. So, solid guys. Landry's going to be 29, getting a little bit older. So, bringing in a guy like Abdul Carter just makes a lot of sense. I don't think Landry or White is big enough to play on the D line at all, but it gives you a lot of depth. Keon White at 290 pounds could actually probably kick in, Christian Barmore as 315, so they're not way off, size-wise. So, yeah, I'm going to go Abdul Carter to the Patriots at number 4. I think it makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa? What you talking about, fool? All right, guys, the Jaguars are on the board right now. Mason Graham makes a ton of sense. When you look at the Jaguars' defense and the way they're constructed, they need some defensive line help desperately. They do have Josh Hines-Allen, in their base defense. But, man, bringing in Mason Graham, their D tackles are trash. I just don't see a situation where Mason Graham is not selected by the Jaguars at 5, right? So, at number 5, guys, Mason Graham. Now, the Raiders are on the board. The Raiders have a really big decision to make at number 6. Do they go wide receiver? Matthew Golden's on the board. Tet McMillan's on the board. Yeah, Joe Milton, solid pickup, man. I do like the Joe Milton pickup for sure. I really, really like the Joe Milton deal, He looked pretty good in his limited action last year, right? So I do like the Joe Milton deal for sure. All right, Raiders, you're on the board. Where should we go, Raiders fans? Tet McMillan, Ashton Jeanty, Yes, Sam, I definitely think he's going to go in the first round because it's a quarterback desperate league. And if a team like the Browns, they don't pick him early, they might trade up. Maybe, a team like the Cardinals or the Vikings, they need picks, right? So they could be desperate. Well, the Rams brought in Devontae Adams, right? They still got Puka Nacua. So I think the Rams will be all right. Yeah, I do like Derek Harmon, man. He's a stud. So, Raiders fans, I'm giving you Ashton Jeanty at 6. Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. That takes so much pressure off the wide receivers and Geno Smith. I really, really like that pick. And then later in the draft, you could, the offensive line's not bad at all, for the Raiders. But they need some, right guard is a spot, maybe right tackle, another spot, DJ Glaze is set on the right side. They could have an upgrade there for sure. But yeah, I love the Jeanty pick, right? I think Jeanty makes a ton of sense going to the Raiders at 6. Now, at 7 overall, guys, we got the Jets. The Jets. Ted McMillan makes some sense, for sure. Do you draft Will Campbell here and kick him out to the right side? That could be interesting, right? D-line definitely can make some sense for the Jets. The Jets, I think the Jets really start to be a wild card in this draft. They got Olufashinu at left tackle. They need a right tackle desperately. But the rest of the offensive line's not bad, right? Sorry, guys, I'm going through some of these comments. Yeah, I'm not a big Justin Fields fan at all whatsoever, right? They could use another wide receiver because they did sign Josh Reynolds, but I'm not a big fan of him. And Lazard is cooked. He stinks. He's going to be 30. Garrett Wilson. They could go tight end, too. They really, really, really need a tight end. You know what? I'm going to shake things up here, guys, with the Jets at 7. I'm going Tyler Warren to the Jets at 7. It makes a lot of sense. They got a pretty good-ish offensive line. Adding a guy like Tyler Warren, he's a pretty good blocker, bigger size tight end, So I think Justin Fields, he's not like super strong outside the numbers, so he's going to need people in the middle of the field to make some plays. And the way Justin Fields plays the quarterback position, I think Tyler Warren could be a huge weapon. All right, guys, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm closing in on 15,000 subscribers. I'm at 14,891. 9 more to get to 14,900, guys. Yeah, man. Michael, I agree. I think the Jets picking Tyler Warren makes a lot of sense. All right, Revolution. Which team do you think will be most improved this season? I wanted to say the Houston Texans, but man, getting rid of Laramie Tunsil, that's a huge loss, right? I want to see how the draft goes before I really make a decision on who I think the most improved team will be. But I definitely think it could be a team out of the AFC West, like the Denver Broncos or the Chargers. Really, really good teams. And even the Raiders could be the most improved. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but man, bringing in Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, if they get Ashton Jeanty at 6, they're starting to rock and roll a little bit, guys. One of my biggest predictions this year, guys, is that the Chiefs will not win the AFC West. Yeah, I mean, the Rams are right there. I agree. Hypnos, they're right there. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Tyreek Hill come to the Eagles, right? Put him in the slot with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside. That would be crazy. But no, it's not going to happen. All right, now, Panthers fans, you're on the board at number 8. When you look at this Panthers roster, the offensive line actually played pretty good last year. And after getting benched, Bryce Young really came along for himself. But this defense is ass. Like super ass on a hot day. So the Panthers are going to go linebacker, I think. And I like Jahad Campbell from Alabama. Their linebackers are Oscar the Grouch, stinky garbage bad. Give them a general in the middle of this defense. They do run a 3-4 scheme. An off-ball linebacker in the middle of the defense could make some sense. Edge could make some sense. People were mocking Jalen Walker to the Panthers. I just think that's a huge risk, man. He's got a huge missed tackle rate, not really good in coverage. I don't like that. So I'm going to go Jahad Campbell to the Panthers at number 8. Now, number 9 is the Saints. Saints fans. Yeah, Giants got the number 3 pick, boy, number 3. Yeah, so Saints up at number 9. I'm going Tetero McMillan to the Saints at number 9, guys. I'm doing that because Chris Olave is one more concussion away from having to retire, right? And they don't have another guy on that roster You know, I don't know if they'll go 0-17, but I don't see them winning more than 6 games. If the over-under's at 6, I'm probably taking the under. So, Saints fans, Ted McMillan, back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons, 18 touchdowns, 6'5", over 210 pounds. Ted McMillan goes to the Saints at number 9. Yeah, I agree. The 49ers are really going to struggle, man. Yeah, I don't know if the 49ers win 10 games, Gregory. I don't know if they win 10. But, guys, welcome to the Jay All Day Sports Show. My name's Jay, host of the show, former Bleacher Report writer turned YouTuber. We had an amazing year making predictions on this NFL channel. The last 9 weeks, 110 wins, only 39 losses. We crushed it, guys. Absolutely crushed it. That's why you got to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Gregory, they definitely need defensive line for sure, but there's a lot of depth. So they could get that in the second round. They're not getting a true X wide receiver, where they're going to be drafted like 41 overall, something like that. I don't see that happening. They need an insurance policy for Chris Olave with those concussion issues, man. There's no chance on God's green earth that the 49ers are going to win 14 games, man. No way! Yeah, man, the 49ers got wrecked. All right, Bears fans, you're on the board now. 10th overall. Will Campbell's on the board. That could be interesting. They did bring in a lot of free agents, revamp that offensive line. So, I don't know if they're going to go offensive line, even though Will Campbell's starting to slide a little bit, right? They're in a 4-3 defense, base defense, right? The offensive line looks pretty good on paper. So, I think D-line is where you want to go. D-line is probably where you want to go. Safety is very interesting as well. Byard and Brisker, not great. They did use an early pick on Brisker, who's been okay. They could use another cornerback to go opposite of Jalen Johnson. But linebacker is a big need, and edge. One of these bigger edges could make some sense for the Bears, man. They need some D-line help. I just don't know how they pass up on Mike Green. 6'4", 248. When you look who's playing the edge now, Dayo Odeyingbo, 6'6", 286. They do got bigger. Josh Sweat, 6'6", 262. Do you think that he could put on some size, right? Or do you go D-tackle? A guy like Kenneth Grant on the board at 17 could make a lot of sense. Yeah, Chris, I'm doing a mock draft. I'm on number 10 with the Bears right now. I want to go through all the picks with you guys, right? There's not a big 4-3 edge that I like. So, Bears fans, I'm going Kenneth Grant. Big defensive lineman, really, really talented guy. I do love him. All right, now, 49ers fans, you're on the board at number 11. Will Campbell still on the board. Whether he's a tackle or a guard at the NFL level, he's the best offensive lineman left on the board. They're going to go Will Campbell at 11. Their offensive line's decimated. Trent Williams is super freaking old, man. So, all right, guys, I want to go over my top 10 picks, so far in the draft. We went Ward goes 1 to the Titans. Hunter goes number 2 to the Browns. Mbembu goes 3 to the Giants. Abdul Carter goes 4. And then Graham goes 5 to the Jags. Gentry goes to the Raiders. Warren goes to the Jets. Campbell goes to the Panthers. McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, goes to the Saints. Kenneth Grant goes 10 to the Bears. And Will Campbell, 11 to the 49ers. Now, number 12 overall. Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans. Where do you go? Johnny Barron on the board is really interesting, The Cowboys need a lot of help, man. A lot of places. They could go a ton of different places. They really could go wide. I think they need a wide receiver. So I'm going Matthew Golden to the Cowboys at number 12. He's got some of the best tape that there is, man. Matthew Golden is an exceptional wide receiver, one of the best route runners, and some of the best hands in this entire draft class. When the dust settles, guys, if Matthew Golden was the best wide receiver out of this draft class, I wouldn't be surprised at all whatsoever. He completely took over that offense the second half of the year at Texas. He's a monster. Matt Golden goes to the Cowboys at 12. You need another wide receiver opposite of CeeDee Lamb, guys. Abso-freaking-lutely. Appreciate you guys tuning in to J All Day NFL show. We're up to 14,892 subscribers, guys. 108 more to go to get to 15K. If you could do me a solid, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, but that's not going to last forever, Gregory. I love Trent Williams, but he's not going to be the best forever. Father Time is undefeated, man. Undefeated. All right, now, the Dolphins are up at 13. Their offensive line is looking pretty suspect right now, man. Pretty suspect. Armstead just retired. They need I need to go offensive tackle here. You know, Kelvin Banks is the best guy on the board. Him and Josh Conerly Jr. I don't think they're going to go after Simmons because of the injury history. Kelvin Banks, dude, 100% goes to the Dolphins at 13. 100%. Now, Colts fans, you're on the board here, right? You could go edge here. There's a lot of places the Colts can go to get better. You know, if you look at this base defense, you're kind of in a 4-3 defense, right? Kind of a hybrid look. They could go corner. A guy like Johnny Barron could be interesting because he could play safety, could play corner, can play nickel as well, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think Johnny Barron makes a ton of sense for the Colts, right? Or they could go Colston Loveland. That could make a lot of sense as well, you know? But I think Johnny Barron makes a lot of sense, right? I'm going Johnny Barron. He could really upgrade this roster in a ton of different spots. Very versatile guy. Now, Falcons fans, you're on the board. Mike Green is still available. They're taking Mike Green 100%. The Falcons need an edge rusher. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL getting after the quarterback last year. Woo, baby. Mike Green goes to the Falcons at 15. Cowgirls, 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 Cowgirls. All right, I'm going through some of these comments, guys. Give me a second. Good luck, Emily, on your blood work. Yeah, Colts need a lot, James. I agree with you 100%, man. They definitely, Shane Steichen needs some weapons. They could go Colston Loveland in that spot, but I think the best pick is Johnny Barron, you know. All right, now, on the board, Arizona Cardinals selecting at number 16, guys. They need D-line help desperately. Cornerback. With Will Johnson on the board, he's too good to pass up. I think the Cardinals would be really dumb to pass up on Will Campbell if he's on the board, right? They need cornerback help really bad. And Will Johnson, he's great. You know, when he's healthy, he's the best cornerback in this draft class probably. Him and Ben Morrison, who I absolutely love. Ram721, what's going on? Because they have a good scheme, man. Vic Fangio is a wizard. And, you know, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell were rookies, but they're top, you know, 2 top 35 picks, man. Oh, man, I'm so sorry to hear that, Ram721. That's, like, honestly my worst nightmare. My dog Penny Lane is, like, my best friend, man. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. Because I know that's going to devastate my family when it happens, you know? So, all right, guys. Now, the Bengals are on the board at 17. At 17, the Bengals, they need defensive line help. They need safety help. The Bengals are a disaster, man, defensively, right? When you look at this Cincinnati Bengals roster, they need safety help so bad. I'm bringing in Malachi Starks. I think, you know, there's really good defensive linemen later in this draft that they could fill out their roster with. A guy like Malachi Starks is not going to be there. Malachi Starks from Georgia goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, who probably have the worst defense in the NFL. Number 15, they got Mike Green, the edge defender from Marshall. Falcons went number 15. All right, guys. Number 18 overall is the Seahawks, man. We've been saying this a lot over the last decade that the Seahawks need to freaking fix the offensive line. They really, really need to fix the offensive line. It's so bad. It's and then Sam Darnold, if he's behind a bad offensive line, he's going to get roasted, dude. Toasted, roasted. It's going to be awful. But man, James Pierce Jr. could look great opposite Bowie Mafe on that defensive line. You know, I'm not sure if they do it. Donovan Ezeraku on the board there could be really, really, really nice. Or do you go a guy like Gray Zabel? That would be a little bit of a stretch. I think with Pierce and Ezeraku on the board, you pick one of these guys. Pierce was just an athletic. He's a freak show, man. I'm going him to the Seahawks at 18. Now, at 19 up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could really use some help. They're getting older at the linebacker position, both off ball and outside linebacker. They need some help there, man. This defense is predicated on getting after the quarterback, and you need some athletic. I do like Yaya Diaby. He had a great year in 2024. Not so good in 2023, but a young guy coming into himself. 6'3", 263. They did bring in Hassan Reddick on a one-year deal. So I'm not sure if they're going to go linebacker. They could use D-line as well, So I think D-line could be really interesting for the Buccaneers. Donovan Ezeraku on the board right now is just screaming, draft me, Sam, for what team, buddy? Buccaneers, man. They could go a lot of different places. They could go linebacker. They could go edge. I'm going to give them Donovan Ezeraku. Hassan Reddick's on a one-year deal. I don't think he's the future there. He's just a depth guy. Now, Broncos fans, you're on the board at number 20. They're going to go Omarion Hampton with the running back. I love that spot. My Jets pick was Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers are on the board. Shedeur Sanders is still on the board, guys. He goes to Pittsburgh at 21 overall. Guys, if you have any questions about your favorite NFL team, make sure you drop them in the comments down below. And help me get to 15,000 subscribers, guys. We're at 14,894. 6 subscribers away from 14,900, guys. Do me a solid. Help me get there, guys. Help me get there. We're almost there. All right, back to the mock draft. Chargers, you're up at 22. Colston Loveland's on the board. One of my favorite tight ends in this entire draft class. Going to get reunited with Coach Harbaugh. Him and Harbaugh won a national championship back in 2023. They get reunited with the Chargers. Give Justin Herbert an excellent weapon. They need weapons desperately. They have Ladd McConkey, and that's about it on offense, right? So they need help really, 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 really bad. They get it. Colston Loveland goes to the Chargers at 22. Now, Packers fans, you're on the board, 23 overall. Emeka Egbuka, could he be a number 1 wide receiver at the NFL level? 6'1", 205. Could he be like a CeeDee Lamb where he can line up inside and outside and be really, really, really effective at the NFL level? I just love his attitude. I'm going Emeka Egbuka to the Packers. They bring a true professional into that locker room, right? A really, really talented guy. Great hands, excellent route runner, just a stand-up human being. And sometimes in a locker room, even though I hate the Packers and them doing all this tush-push nonsense, it makes me want to throw up. But Egbuka going to the Packers is an excellent pick. Now, Vikings fans, you're on the clock here at 24. Man, a lot of places they could go. They need some D-line help. A guy like Walter Nolan would make a lot of sense going to the Minnesota Vikings, man. When you look at this Vikings roster, they need some interior defensive line help really, really bad. They're on this 3-4 look. They need a nose and a left end and a right end, right? I'm bringing in Walter Nolan. He's super talented guy. Best D lineman left on the board. No brainer. Now, Houston Texans fans, you're on the board at 25 overall. You just traded Laramie Tunsil to the freaking Commanders. You need a left tackle. Josh Simmons is on the board. Boop. That's it. Josh Simmons. Before he got hurt, he's got some of the best tape I've seen out of all the offensive linemen in this draft class. He impressed me the most, right? So, that's why they gotta replace Tunsil. Trading him was insane to me. Something crazy had to happen in the locker room. Yeah, Redneck Ghost, I agree. I think Josh Simmons he might go down as like the steal of this draft because a lot of people are writing him off because of that injury. But who knows? He could go as early as like the Dolphins at 13, right? So I love Josh Simmons. He had the best tape that I saw. That's just my opinion, though. Now, Rams fans, you're on the board. Tight end, tackle, linebacker, cornerback. Man, they need a cornerback so bad. They need a corner so bad. You know, when you look at the corners who are left, you have Trey Amos, Maxwell Harrison, and Savon Revel. All really good players. But Harrison, he was the fastest guy at the combine this year, 4.28. But he sucks at man coverage, 55 overall grade man coverage-wise. I just like Trey Amos better. I think he's a better prospect. I think he's going to be a better pro. I know he's got elite speed, but that's not always what it's about, man. Yeah, I agree with you, Redneck Ghost. I think I'll be fine. But I think teams don't want to risk it. You know, if he has a setback in his recovery, he gets hurt in camp, you know, they don't want to blow an early top 10 pick on a guy like Simmons. Even though I think that, like, he's probably worthy of that pick. If he doesn't get hurt, he's probably a top 12 pick, in my opinion, right? Now, Ravens fans, you're on the board. Man, I do like Michael Williams. He makes a lot of sense going to the Ravens. He's one of my favorite players from Georgia. Played like all year with injuries. Super talented guy. He's a Raven through and through. I love that pick. Now, who is taking Joe Milton? Didn't Joe Milton just get traded? Yeah, Joe Milton just got traded to the Cowboys. All right, guys, we're up to 14,894 subscribers, man. I'm almost at 14,900. I need 6 more. Do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. So, now, Lions are on the board. They need guard help. Gray Zabel is that guy. I'm going Gray Zabel to the Lions at 28 overall. Gray Zabel, he could play tackle. He could play center. He could play guard. He's one of the most polished offensive linemen in this draft class. Looked good at the Senior Bowl. You know, I really like that for sure. Yeah, Redneck Ghost, I think they need to go a lot of offensive linemen. You know, maybe a guy like Charles Grant in the second round. You know what I mean? I would be beefing up the offensive line. Maybe a guy like, I like the wide receiver from, from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins. Yo, he's my favorite wide receiver in this draft class. I'm not even going to front on it. He's my favorite wide receiver. Jaden Higgins, you heard it here first, guys. My favorite wide receiver in this draft class. All right, guys. Commanders up at 29. I like it. I like it. I like it. They could go Luther Burden, man. I know they brought in Deebo Samuel, but adding some more help at wide receiver could be interesting. Man, Shamar Stewart. He's just like an athletic freak. And I don't know if a guy like this, at that size, can slip anymore, you know? Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded guy. You know, I don't know if he fits their scheme, though. They're that 3-4 scheme. I don't know if he fits their scheme, you know? He's more of a 4-3 guy, in my opinion, you know? But he's a monster. He's a monster. You know what? I think this is where Jalen Walker's slide stops. Jalen Walker goes to the Commanders at 29, right? Yeah, for sure. They got Terry McLaurin for sure. Yeah, I don't know if they go one in the first round, to be the number 3 guy. And they drafted Luke McCaffrey last year too, right? So I don't think they do that. I think they either go corner or edge. Now, Bills are on the board. It's one of my favorite mocks. The Bills, Derek Harmon from Oregon. They need D tackle help. He can make a lot of sense, in Buffalo. Derek Harmon, he's probably the most, sound D tackle in this class. He can do a little bit of everything. He's really, really talented. Bills in this 4-3 defense. I know they brought in Bosa, but man, Shamar Stewart would look great in Buffalo. That athletic freak, yeah. Shamar Stewart. He goes to Buffalo at 30 overall. Now, Chiefs fans, you're on the board. Josh Connolly's on the board. They're taking him. They need tackle help. Not going to think twice about it. Now, Eagles fans, you're on the board. Derek Harmon is there. They're taking Derek Harmon. Straight up. Straight up, guys. Eagles get their man at 32 overall, Derek Harmon. I love that pick. Oh, thanks, Redneck Ghost. All right, guys, that wraps it up. Cam Ward goes number 1. Genty goes to the Raiders at 6. I think Tyler Warren going to the Jets might shake this draft up all over the place, right? Matthew Golden goes to the Cowboys. Will Johnson, that's a great pickup for the Cardinals, man. The board falls that way to them. And then the Broncos get Omarion Hampton. Steelers get Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, me too. Go Birds! Yeah, Josh Simmons goes to the Texans at 25. Packers get Emeka Egbuka. Gray Zabel goes to the Lions and make that offensive line even better. Shamar Stewart goes to Buffalo. Johnny Barron goes to the Colts. Kelvin Banks goes to the Dolphins. Will Campbell goes to the 49ers. This is one of my favorite mock drafts that I did in the first round. I think this one turned out pretty good. Yo, Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls in his first 4 years as a quarterback. So you could say whatever you want. They put 8 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage to shut down Saquon Barkley, and then Jalen Hurts lit them up like a Christmas tree. That's just the facts, man. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Redneck Ghost. I like when I look at the top 10, the Raiders could go some different spots too. They could really F some shit up if they go Shedeur Sanders at number 6 and just stash him on the bench. That would be crazy, They could go wide receiver there too if they like Ted McMillan or Matthew Golden. But I think Jaden Higgins is the best receiver in this draft class, man. I like his tape the best. The Panthers could go a lot of different places too, but I think they're going to go defense. I think that's pretty predictable. I don't think they go offense. The Bears are kind of a wild card too. Nah, I mean, they have a pretty big hole at guard right now, the Lions. So, and Gray Zabel is so good. Getting a guy like Gray Zabel that late in the draft, it's hard to pass up. They could go edge. The Lions could absolutely go edge. They could go like Shamar Stewart, opposite Aiden Hutchinson. They could very well do that. I just love Gray Zabel because he could play all over the line. Wherever they got a hole, he could fill it. Left guard's a pretty big hole for them right now. But, I wouldn't argue with you if they were like, they're going to go edge. I couldn't argue with that. Shamar Stewart on the board there. Him and Aiden Hutchinson would be impossible to block. Thanks, JJ. I appreciate you guys. And if you haven't yet, dude, who did I have the Saints drafting? I had them Ted McMillan at number 9. And the reason why, Tim, I went Tetairoa McMillan is because Chris Olave is like one more concussion away from having to retire. And then if you look at the wide receiver room, outside of, if they lose Chris Olave, man, the Saints are really, really thin at wide receiver, man. Like, oh my gosh. What do they have? Rashid Shaheed, and they brought back Brandon Cooks. Their wide receiver room is ass behind Chris Olave, who I love. But he is knocking on retirement's door with those concussions, man. Yeah, I mean, the Lions' defense was just destroyed by injuries, man, for sure. You know, the cornerbacks could probably use an upgrade too. Terry and Arnold, I don't know. Didn't do it for me. But if they do go defense in the first round, it's going to be edge for sure. Yeah, I think it's pretty much, I think the Titans are going to slam dunk that pick at number 1. Yeah, LC, I mean, yeah, Jared Goff played awful when it mattered most. He played really, really bad in that game versus the Commanders. Like, really, really, really bad. Who did the Bears draft? I drafted Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, I mean, I think Kenneth Grant fits what they need the most. Their edge guys aren't very bad, but the interior defensive line, they need some beef. And I think Kenneth Grant would be great at stopping the run. And if you could stop the run early downs and get teams down in distance, I think it's really good to get off the field on third down. It really depends how the board falls, Tim, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if they went quarterback. If Shedeur Sanders is on the board, they could go quarterback. You know, D-line. The Saints' interior defensive line is not good. They could go a guy like Derek Harmon. They could go a guy like Walter Nolan. You know what I mean? Because the ends aren't bad, but the interior defensive line is not good at all. Right? Their cornerbacks aren't great either. They could go Will Johnson. That wouldn't surprise me. I think the Saints could go a ton of different places. Yeah, I agree. I think Redneck goes. I think bringing a pass rusher opposite Hutch makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Ashton Jeanty went to the Raiders at 6 in my mock draft, so that's why I didn't draft him to the Bears. I mean, it all depends if Ashton Jeanty gets to them at 10. You know, if they want Jeanty really bad, they might have to trade up with the Raiders. And Pete Carroll loves to run the football, so I don't know if he gets past the Raiders. Thanks, John. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, man, I think everyone was happy that we knocked off the Chiefs, guys. I'm more happy that the Chiefs lost than the Eagles won, you know? Yeah, the Bears could trade up. I don't know if they were going to risk draft capital for that, you know? Because if they really want a running back bad, Omarion Hampton's really freaking good, man. He's not... If Omarion Hampton is a better pro than Jeanty, I wouldn't be completely surprised. You know what I mean? Who, Cam Skattebo? Yeah, I love Cam Skattebo, but they need offensive line help so bad. Yeah, in the second, Skattebo could definitely be there. Yeah, the refs, man. I was worried that first call against A.J. Brown on the first drive for the Eagles, that offensive pass interference, I was like, oh no. But it is what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. If you guys can do me a huge favor, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. I put out a ton of NFL content all the time. I would really appreciate you guys hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It does really help us, you know, getting these algorithms and all that good stuff, man. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Jay All Day NFL show. And I'll be back next Sunday around 7:30 West Coast time. 7:30 West Coast time, 10:30 East Coast time. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Don't forget to like and subscribe.